my fellow scenery modelers. Gus here. Today I'm working on this scratch build barn project, my in-scale projects. It's not done. There's still quite a bit of weathering, doors, windows, and the roof here to do. But I had a couple of thoughts I wanted to share and talk with you about, so let's get on those. There are a couple different ways to roof for a building like this. I wanted the corrugated look, and in the corrugated category there are a few different kinds of materials. There is plastic corrugated, there's paper corrugated, and there's metal corrugated. Now I'm choosing the corrugated in metal. It seems like metal is harder to find, but if you'll check over at GUSSBUILDS.com or the Shopify store of Guss Builds, that's where you can get this corrugated roofing in N scale and HO scale. Now, you know, the roofs are subject to weather conditions outside. The wind and hail damage, rain and snow, falling trees or branches, and the occasional piece of space junk that falls from the sky. In my modeling efforts, I try to replicate those weather events in one way or another, no matter what scale I may be working in. And I've found that corrugated paper can be manipulated and weathered, but it can be hard to maintain the shape shifting it might be subject to when creating a used or aged look. I'm not saying that it cannot be done, I just find that it's hard to work with at times. Plastic corrugated roofing has its own abilities. I mean, it can be painted and printed in many scales, but oftentimes the thickness of the plastic is the hurdle that you run into at times. Such as when you're trying to show wind damage on a model and curl up the edges. It's not very easy to curl up the edges. Again, not impossible, but fairly hard. Plastic is also a little bit less easy to dent. So if I wanted a practically new roof, I'd look at plastic. But to each his own in choosing the materials that you want to work with. But I'm using the metal corrugated roofing that I have right here. And here I can show you an example of that roofing on my barn where there could be some wind damage, or replicating some wind damage. It doesn't take that much to lift up and bend these corners to show that the wind has got a hold of it and lifted it up a little bit. So now, there we go, we've got some that are wind damaged. Also a good example here with using metal is this soft spot, this depressed spot in the roofing right here, where over time the timbers have either cracked and fallen, or we have settling in the ground, or we have a depression here, a soft spot in this decking. With this metal, I can take a piece and easily go downhill with it and make it look like it's still been with the building for a long time. We're going to put that one in there. A little bit extra glue on it. Right here, I'm down in that valley, a little depressed spot. Add another piece to climb out of there. Overlap it, and it goes dips and valleys lay into each other. And it's starting to dry up, but you can probably see here that we've got a little bit of a decrease, a little bit of a valley, and then back uphill here. You won't see much until it's all put together, and then you'll notice that, hey, that roof has some severe damage to it. But it's keeping the hay dry. Well, that's why I like using the metal pieces. I can shape shift them if I need to. Right here I've got a little bit of a rise in this overlap. I can take my tool and smooth that down. Make a good seam out of it. Yeah, nice. Not wind blown, wind hasn't picked them up like over here, but we've got a nice tight seam over here. It's drying nicely there. Always the same with with a tool like this, I can also do that space junk damage or branch damage. By simply pushing it in here, I can create a little dent, a little indentation that something will show you that something landed on the roof right across there. Can't do that with this plastic unless this was hot. But again, I'm not saying that you can't use plastic and be successful with it, but I'm just finding the metal is my favorite, is my go-to. And while I'm talking about putting them in place, though, this Gorilla Glue super glue gel is my favorite. That's my go-to because it's in the gel form. It sticks on these rafters, sticks on these beams until I can get my panel of corrugated roofing to be ready to go in place. I don't have to worry about it running away. Overlap them, let them get seated in place with each other, and give them a little nudge down. Sometimes they put up a fight. But this is how I do my roofing on my scratch builds and other in-scale projects. Got a little bit of a bow there. I'm just going to push it down. Actually, I'm going to lift it up and give it a little bend. Lays down there in place. Well, everybody, that's just what I wanted to talk about is where you can get your metal corrugated roofing. You can also use it for fences, and the way that I'm doing it with my end scale builds. I'm gonna like this. After I get weathered on there, I'm gonna do a little bit of rusting because of its age. Those wind damage will show up, and also that tree branch that fell on it right there. Hey, thanks for watching. Check back with me later if you would. Like and subscribe, and have a blast on your own layouts, your own projects.